If you cannot raise half, then
Can you explain how the market dictates the projects that you want to develop?
um, for us, it's almost always start with the market. So it starts with what's the need of the market and where the project is going to live, and then going backwards. So we tend to not just kind of like, oh, it'd be fun to do X, right? And then like just kind of write it. Like we need to know where it's going to be. Because again, we're doing it for a living, right? Like we need to pay the salaries and we need to know that there is an end goal. I always say that like the projects are back engineering, you know, they start with Z to A. I think that there is this sense that they teach, I don't know where they teach it, but that the film business is like a step by step, right? It's like you first write a script, then you find some friend to direct it, then you find a producer, then you look for money, then then you make it, then you go to the festivals, then in the festivals you're gonna have a producer rep, and the producer rep is gonna find the sales agent, the sales agent is gonna find the distributor is gonna give it to the aggregator is gonna give it to iTunes. It's like, your movie goes through like 7 levels of I don't give an F about your film, right? It's, you kind of need to work backwards and think like, okay, like, if your dream is to make a Lifetime movie, then, watch 10,000 hours of Lifetime movies and study them and see like what the pacing and who are the actors and who are the producers and how they finance. And you kind of need to kind of think backwards and to know where you're going. And then everything kind of falls in place because it's kind of really in terms of decision making, it kind of makes your life much easier, and it's a much better set for success. So yes, we do have some passion projects, but again, I think there is nothing bad about saying this is a passion project, so I don't care too much about losing money or whatever it is because I'm doing it for a passion, I'm not doing it to pay salaries, but just like employees have expectation to get paid in the end of the month, we need to create, stuff that people want to watch, and want to either pay or watch ads or somehow monetize it.
When do you usually get involved in an indie project?
Or
excuse me, a movie project, I'm sorry.
So we like to get involved in project early because there is some stuff that you can do in the development and the production stages. It doesn't mean that we just want to get scripts. So usually we'll get involved when a project is fully packaged or have at least 50% of the financing. But again, it also depends who is it coming from, because we have people that we help them finance their projects, right? Or for example, we release somebody's movie, like we have a filmmaker that we release her movie and we think she's super talented. And we think that the type of films and sensibility and vision she has is a really good fit with one of the streamers we're working with for stuff they're looking for. So we're gonna help her develop something and walking into that streamer. But again, it's a very, very specific case. It doesn't mean that now I want to get 1 million scripts sent to my inbox,
How often will you help to raise money for a movie?
So we finance films all the time. Usually the rule is that up to 50%, and the other 50%, the filmmakers, the production company to raise because we want them to have skin in the game. And we do it all the time, for micro budget and for larger budget. We have an office in Brisbane, Australia. So we shoot a lot of content with, the tax credits and the incentives over there. We make movies in Ireland, we make movies in Canada. So, the bigger budget movies, they kind of have a lot of moving parts and foreign tax incentives. I like to shoot more in LA, so I'm hoping that with changes, and development that's happening right now, we can bring more productions to LA because honestly, not only I live here, business-wise, I think it's good because we have relationship, we can just pick up a phone to an actor that you worked with for and say, hey, want to come for a week, and you can do that when you're shooting in Australia. It's just a little bit more complicated because you need to, the talent need to travel.
And so if you're bringing half the money to a project and the filmmaker is responsible for finding the other half, what happens if they're not able to find that other half?
Then they should be making the movie. So here's an interesting thing that happens. Somebody makes a project, go to do crowdfunding, is not able to raise the money, still looking for the money. And you go like, wait a minute. You already proven that you either have a project that nobody wants, or that you are unable to find like you want somebody who has the grit to, you know, write the right thing, know where to find the audience, know how to connect those dots. Like why, you know, why do I need to do all of that for you? You know what I mean? So if you cannot raise half, then, you know, I don't know, you know, do something else, right?
Well, yeah, I agree, but just to push back on that a little, not everybody is good working a room. Not everybody, you know, there's some
But that's
people
a
that's
part
their
of the
talent.
business. If you're a producer, like part of what your job is to know how to work the room, know how to, you know, you need to know, like, look, the producer and the director have the most intimate relationship with the project, you know, if it's whatever it is, a short, a TV, a film. So if they're unable to connect those dots between what the movie is, how it's going to be marketed, where to find the audience, how to get money from the audience pocket and put it back to them, like, you know, I need to do this. So what, you come up with an idea, here's an idea, cure for cancer. Okay, you go do it, you know? A flying car, you know, it's like you need to bring your part of the deal. You know, my deal is the relationship with Tubi and Netflix and all of that, my ability to bring foreign sales, my ability to bring some financing. I don't want to do all the work for you. Then why need you? I can hire, you know, we live in LA. You can go right now to Starbucks and hire 20 great writers, directors, right? Is that
Okay,
is that a
fair
mean
enough.
answer? I hope it's not a mean
No,
answer.
no, it's
but-
not. It's a realistic answer, and that's okay. But you know, some people are more, they're not good at asking for money. Maybe there's a guilt. So you're saying get over that, basically. And that's not being
I think
mean.
it's a part of the job.
Okay, it's part of the job. Okay.
It's like, oh, I'm a director, I'm just not good at directing. You know, it's like, you kind of like, okay, so I need to, you know, here's the people don't understand, there is a lot of talent out there and there is a lot of people looking for opportunities. So if you're the one that's going to get that wire transfer, that check from somebody, it's like, you both need to step up and you need to be freaking deserve it, you know? You can't be, like sometimes, like I remember there was one particular, I'm not going to mention name, but a director that if a producer gave him money to make the project, and he kept like complaining about all the stuff that the producer was like, dude, he gave you money to make your project. Like you can say whatever you want to say, but in the end of the day, like, you know, what kind of sign of trust is to like wire somebody or write checks for like, even if it's just still 50 grand, you know, it's like, that's a lot of money. You know, 100 grand, 200 grand, it's a lot of money for somebody to put out. You know, that's not like Netflix that you can find it in the couch, you know? So, so definitely the other side need to, yes, stay up 18 hours a day, making sure that they live up to their part of the equation, you know?
Okay, so just like a barista doesn't want to call out, you know, Shaked, I have your order. Right. That's part of being the barista. So if you can't do that, then don't want to be, if you can't work a room and know how to maybe go out to dinner with someone, be charming and talk about your film.
You are the partner with, like, look, a lot of people like, oh, you know, they have a good partnership. One is the artistic guy and one is the money, but whatever. But that's why you need to make those relationships and kind of build the, you know, otherwise, why don't I go like, I want to direct. Okay, I need you to bring me the money, the script, the crew, you know, so it's like, what are you bringing to the table, you know?
Are there different strategies you will use based on budget level of a movie?
I think the end goal need to justify the budget, right? So you kind of, again, need to think, you back engineer it, right? So people are like, oh, I want to make a Netflix movie. It's like, okay, how many movies have you researched? Like, are you watching Netflix movies? Do you know? Like, you kind of need to go backwards, right? So the budget always call for that, right? You're not going to go to Netflix, I'm just using them as an example, and say, oh, I have a script and it's like only 2 characters and 1 location, so we can do it for cheap. Netflix does not care about cheap, they care about other things, right? While if you go to like an indie producer, you know, ITN or something like that might be important for them because they're more of a volume player, you know? So you really need to know where you're going at and really customize your project. I would say, if you're spending 90% of time researching the companies and only 10% sending your project, you're probably going to do better than just sending it to more people.
Okay, so you have to put yourself out there and don't be afraid.
Correct.
But also research, make sure you're sending the right, if you have, let's say, a faith-based film,
Yeah, don't
maybe.
send it to ITN, probably.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they do faith-based. I don't think so, but
Right.
But send it to the right people that,
Sure.
So let's take that as a case study, right? So you're a filmmaker from, you tell me where, Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas, sure.
And you just finished film school, you don't have a lot of relationship, but you're Christian, you want to make a faith-based movie, right? What should be your next step? Look at Pureflix, look at UpTV, look at BU, look at all those places, look at the Angel Studios, and don't email them and say, hi, I'm 18, here's my script. Look them up online, go the past 5 years, 10 years, whatever, like look at every project, look who are the cast members, who are the producers, how they got to become, like try to research, like it's so easy today, like, you can sit at home and have access to all this information, and then start reaching out to the right people and say like, hey, I noticed that you have 5 movies with Pureflix. My dream is to make a film for Pureflix. Are you looking for an intern? Like, can I, pick your brain? Can I work for you? I would love to learn and join your team or whatever. Not just like start sending emails to Pureflix saying like, here's my script. Just kind of like try to think how those projects were made, right? And go like, sometimes like, oh, I saw you like you getting film finance with Lifetime. I have a perfect Lifetime script. It's like, okay, do you watch Lifetime? Nah, that's for girls. Don't watch that. It's like, dude, it's like you need to know, do you want to have you go to a veterinarian, you want to like, oh yeah, I've seen a movie about vets. Like, let's give me a dog. I'm gonna, start cutting him up. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, it's like, pay your dues, go to school, learn,
Sure.
Quentin Tarantino did not become Quentin Tarantino overnight, He actually spent a lot of time studying films.
What's the most important advice you would give to any producer on raising money?
I think the best advice is really to do your research and ask yes or no questions. I find that a lot of people kind of talk or I always say like, if you ask a great question, you're going to get a great answer, right? It's like, oh, do you finance films? Yeah, we do. It's like, do you put equity into films? Do you put more than 100, less than 100? Like, do you sell to Netflix directly? Do you have a vendor agreement with Tubi? Like, questions that are yes and no question. Because if you're just going to ask a general question like, oh, do you finance films? Like, sure, finance can mean a million things. By the way, producing can mean a million things. Producer could be the manager of the main lead and can be the person that came up with the idea, bought the book, hired the writer to adapt it, was there every frame, and everything, and anything in between. And usually you don't know it from the credit. The PGA has the PGA mark, which kind of helps. But you know about the PGA mark? So the PGA mark is a mark that when you watch credits, and a lot of time there is 20 producers, but there's only a few of them that has the lowercase P.G.A mark, is you need to submit to the Producers Guild, and they kind of help research and asking head of departments to find out who's the actual producer that was the main producers on the show. You don't have to be a PGA member to apply to that. A lot of people think that it has anything to do with the union. It's not a union, it's an association. And anybody can apply for it. I think it costs just a few $100s. But it's something that the PGA came up because, especially with crowdfunding and all of that, the role of the producer became really diluted, and everybody has a producer credit, right? But a lot of times, again, talking about research, people go on IMDb, see 20 producers, they don't know who's the actual force behind the project and who's just somebody who got producer credit, for whatever reason. So that's require a lot of research too.
As a producer, who are your clients? Who are the people buying your movies?
Well, as an aggregator for Studio Dome, right, that kind of runs the distribution of our content, our client is our vendors. That's kind of what, we call them vendors, right? So we place it on anywhere from, a Hulu, Stars, iTunes, Tubi, Pluto, whatever. So we go through all the windows, including theatrical, right? So that's one side of it. The other side is the producers and the distributors that are the ones providing us the content, right? So it's other production companies, like prolific production companies that make, repeating content. distributors that we basically doing the entire back office. So they focus on marketing and promotion and curation, but we're the one doing the distribution and reporting for them. Or sometimes we also buy one-off. Now, when we buy one-off films, it's usually more based on filmmakers you want to support. Like we have a movie now in theaters called I Really Love My Husband. It was a South by Southwest movie. It's a very mainstream with LGBTQ flair film that, we just love. Gigi Hawkins, the director, is great and the film is great and we want to support it. We released Summoning Sylvia, which is an LGBTQ horror film, beautiful movie. I believe it's still 100% on Rotten Tomato. But it was all these projects that because they're, they either Black experience or they're LGBTQ or they're drama or whatever reason, people prefer not to release them because it's much easier just to release an action movie or just a straightforward horror movie. So we tend to take that because our distributor client give us enough content for our aggregation business. So we don't have to have at least X amount of movies a month just to pay the bills. So we can, 1 year it's 6 movies, 1 year it's 10 movies. Like we just choose the project we want to support. So that's a big fun part of what we do. We released Cherry, which was the audience award-winning film from Tribeca. It's a very personal story about abortion, so we released that one. So, that's a big fun part of what we do. And fun enough, like even if we don't do that because we think it's the biggest money makers, we end up doing well with those films.
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.